Hey everyone, in my last video you saw me make mention of the fact that I've lost about 2 stones in weight, and hopefully you can see that on my face here, and the rest of me has also shrunk down too. The question I've been asked is, well, how have I done this? And the answer has actually been really simple, embarrassingly so. The most important thing to remember is that this is a behaviour for the most part. There's the amount of calories that you take in versus your basal calorific need. Now I'm going to put a link in the description box below to where you can calculate your personal calorific requirement per day, and then you simply just subtract from that what you are putting into yourself. So in my case, my basal calorific requirement is about 2,700 calories, and then all I had to do was to work out how many calories I was taking in. And it seemed quite a difficult thing to begin with, because how many calories does every food have inside of it? Do I have to go and start taking a detailed diary? And it actually gets quite scary in many ways, especially if you don't have any knowledge or experience of these type of things. The game changer for me really was starting to use the Fitbit app, because that makes it very, very simple. You've got a whole list of foods in there already. It tells you the number of calories for each type of food. You put in the quantity of each, and it comes up with a beautiful diary for you, and it tells you the exact number of calories that you're taking. Now, I hadn't actually worked this out to begin with, but it actually wound up being that I was taking in about 1,500 calories a day. And that's actually a really simple, manageable thing to be doing. So 1,500 calories I was putting in, 2,600 calories was basically my metabolic requirements to keep me going on an even keel, and so I was in a deficit by about 1,000 calories per day. Now, if you Google how many calories make a kilo, then it's about 8,000 calories or so. So if you take this over a period of a week or so, if you're in deficit by about 1,000 calories every single day, then actually you're going to end up losing about a kilo in just over a week. Okay, so in 8 days. Of course, it's very difficult to do this exactly, and so you have some fluctuations both in your caloric intake and also the amount of weight loss that you will actually be experiencing. A kilo a week is actually quite drastic. It's normally recommended for about half a kilo a week, so about minus 500 calories in deficit. And that's actually really, really simple to do if you actually start doing the maths of what you're ingesting. So a simple example, if you have 5 chocolate biscuits a day, each biscuit is about 100 calories. So if you just stop having your 5 biscuits, or whatever it is that you're sort of comfort eating on, like I used to do quite happily, then actually you're already down by 500 calories. And that's not a massive lifestyle change. Similarly, if you're having lattes or some other similar type of high caloric drink, then actually by just going to a straight black coffee, you'll also be peeling off lots of calories before you even know it. And so there are some very simple dietary changes you can make which don't make much of a difference to your day, and that's a very useful way of going forward. In addition to which, something which was very important to me was to do more exercise. Now, when I say more exercise, I wasn't doing any exercise at all, really. So when I started off, I actually had a fair amount of sciatica, and it was a rather ridiculous situation for me. I was advising patients who were coming to me with symptoms of radiculopathy, and there I was testing them and confirming this for them. And yet there was I with the exact same symptoms, not following the advice that I would give to them, which would be to lose weight in the first instance. And so it was very important and vital for me that I started doing some exercise. Now, we were very fortunate in having an elliptical trainer in our house, and it was something that we had bought a few years ago. It wasn't very expensive, it was about £400, and it wasn't used for much longer than the first couple of weeks before being relegated to the clothes hanger zone. And it took it out of its hibernating wilderness and started to use it. And I can honestly tell you, within about 2 weeks, the sciatica for me had totally gone, and the reason's very simple. It had nothing to do with the amount of weight loss I had undergone by that point, simply because I hadn't lost very much weight at all. In fact, what was happening was I was actually strengthening the muscles around my vertebral column, my paraspinal muscles, and this was enabling me to maintain the weight of my torso, and so relieving the pressure of my nerve roots in the lumbar spine. So, this was a very, very simple, quick thing that in fact happened for me, and it was really useful and really beneficial. And when I started off, for me to do 5 minutes was absolutely hell on earth, and I looked absolutely horrific, just by the end of the 5 minutes, short of breath the rest of it. Quite embarrassing, really. Now I've built it up over a period of time, so I can easily do an hour and a quarter, no problems. Once I start going past that, I start picking up muscle sprains and ligamentous type injuries from time to time, and I just don't think it's worthwhile pushing myself for that, particularly when I'm already losing calories via dietary changes too. I've actually taken quite an aggressive approach to my weight loss. It's possibly unhealthy, or it's probably unhealthy the way that I've done it, but actually, quick results that make a difference also matter to people in terms of feedback and reward loops, and ultimately it's about changing behaviour. So the fundamental points here really were, number one, understanding that I had a weight problem. Number two was understanding that it was something which was within the realms of changing my behaviour, which would be straightforward to do and to enact, and then going for it, really. And that's what I would invite you to do as well. So this is my weight loss transformation once again. We're now coming up to the New Year's period of resolutions. This was in effect my New Year's resolution from a couple of months back from our sort of Jewish New Year, and this is me 3 months down the line or so. And so this is something very, very simple to do. It was very straightforward, and I invite you to join me in doing something very similar. Please do like, share, subscribe to the channel as well. Really appreciate it. It does help to spread the message further. Many thanks, and see you on the next video.